Well, hello YouTube. Today is Friday the 13th, so we're gonna talk about something frightening, namely knife laws. Some people have asked me to explain a little bit about knife laws in Denmark, and I'll try to do my best, even if it is a bit boring stuff, but also it gives an example of how ludicrous you can make a law, and it's the same in many countries, but we can just take Denmark as an example. A lot of things happened in around 2008, but I'll just explain that before 2008, a knife like this, it is a slip joint. It is two and three quarters of an inch, or it is 7 centimeters long. This one would, before 2008, be illegal in Denmark. I bought this in Africa, but that's a different story. This one, which I was issued in the service of the Danish military, is actually illegal. It is 1 centimeter too long. So when I was in the army, we weren't allowed to have it, to carry it outside the service. Funny, kind of. When you're in the military, you can carry anything, and when you're outside it, you're a raving lunatic when you have a knife like this. Now, sorry. Now, in 2008, something rather terrible happened. A young Italian tourist was killed with a knife in Copenhagen in broad daylight, and the politicians went berserk. They wanted to show that they would take some action, so they decided to make a new knife law. Perhaps they should have thought about which kind of people use the knives instead, but that's not how politicians think. So, this one was, of course, made illegal. Actually, anything with a blade length of longer than 3 centimeters, that is 1.18 inches, would be illegal. But it became even worse than that, because people were actually being arrested for carrying box cutters like this. Well, why, you ask? Well, for one, it is longer than 3 centimeters, 1.8 inches, and you can lock it. And locking knives was suddenly forbidden as well as switchblades, balisongs, gravity knives, and so on. A young man driving around in his car was actually put to jail for having taken such a knife from his work with him home in his car. As I said, any knives with a lock, this would mean this one, as well as this one, as well as this one, and of course this one, which both has a lock and is a one-hand opener, would be illegal. What was still legal would be a thing like this, which of course has a longer blade length, but it's a slip joint, and you could use it at work, for instance. But if you took it in your pocket, it would of course be illegal, and you would face up to 2 years in jail. Now, a 3 centimeter knife would still be allowed. So every criminal in the country, of course, carried 3 centimeter knives. Now it gets even worse because, as you know, one-handed folders was, as I said, one-handed folders was illegal. So this one was, of course, highly illegal and too long and had a locking plate. We take that away. Now this one, can this be opened with one hand? Yes, if you try very hard, maybe it can. In a court of law, a policeman actually managed to open one of these with one hand, and among a lot of other knives, like I'll just take this. If you apply some skills, you might open it with one hand. So this one is also illegal. Even corkscrews with a little that little knife for removing the cover would also be illegal. So basically, knife shops were being charged with selling illegal weapons if they had something like this, or perhaps something like this, because this one can actually be opened with one hand, and it is a locked blade. Highly illegal. So basically anything a policeman could open with his hands, teeth, or anything else in a court of law with one hand would be made illegal. And people, mainly law-abiding people, were being almost put to jail, but at least fined heavily for carrying illegal weapons. So, in 2016, the knife laws were revised because someone actually could see that they were kind of ridiculous, and they were only normal law-abiding people were the ones that were being hit by this law. So they decided to change it. And actually, they did kind of a good job, because what they did was they specified that if you have a knife in public areas with many people, like sporting events or bars or discos or nightclubs, well, that makes it illegal. So you know, where people mostly stab each other, that's where it's illegal to have a knife. And that makes, I guess, some sense. But the fun part is that actually they made it completely illegal to carry a knife, and then there are some exceptions. And the exceptions is up to the police and the courts to decide whether or not you have what they call good reasons to have a knife in that area. So what they intended was that there would be some common sense in the law, but we'll have to see when some cases come up. But actually, now it's legal to have something like this. It is a one-handed folder, locking knife, up till 12 centimeters that you can carry basically anywhere if you have what they call good reason. Unfortunately, it's up to the policeman or the court to decide what is good reason. Furthermore, if you have a criminal record, you might be more suspect if you are carrying a knife, and also they will take a look at the knife. Is it frightening? Is it a zombie knife, perhaps? Or is it what you would consider a tool? So perhaps this might be considered too big if I carried this, but then this one would be, I guess, more appropriate. But the term good reason, we still have to find out what that means. the examples mentioned were if you are going to the forest to cut some branches, or if you have an apple for lunch, you can cut it with your apple. Many different good reasons. I guess it's up to the knife people to find out what a good reason is, or think of a good reason. That is an essential part of the law, is the term good reason. And then it's up to you, I guess, to explain why you carry a knife and what the good reason is. This was a very short video on a very heavy subject. I hope you enjoyed it, and have a nice evening. Bye bye.